What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. Okay, guys, so we are basically going to continue our coverage over Norman Osborn's Thunderbolts team. Now, we actually pick up at the point where you have Norman Osborn actually moving away from the characters that we have been seeing in the last couple of videos and beginning the process of bringing in new characters as well. And the reason why I'm saying that is because right after Secret Invasion, Norman Osborn technically saved the world by killing off the Queen of the Skrulls. Because remember, in Secret Invasion, the Skrull race was basically invading Earth. And it was Norman Osborn who saved the day. And so with him doing that, of course, he was promoted as a way to protect America full time. So he got rid of S.H.I.E.L.D. and brought in Hammer, his own organization. Now, of course, he does go on to form the Dark Avengers, but those characters from the Dark Avengers, well, some of them were actually on the Thunderbolts. And so he's going to take those characters we see here and move them over to Dark Avengers, which of course opens the door for new characters to make up the Thunderbolts. And so that is why I say this video is going to be Norman Osborn taking the characters we saw over here and moving them over to the Dark Avengers roster, which of course we covered when we were covering Dark Reign for a short period of time. Now, of course, Norman Osborn does have one character he wants to get rid of, and that one character is Songbird. Because in our earlier videos, as y'all saw, if you have not, go watch those videos. Norman Osborn has always wanted to get rid of Songbird. He hated her. He hated her so much, he always tried to get rid of her. And so with him right now kind of restarting the Thunderbolts program by getting rid of all the characters we saw in the last couple of videos, he's going to try to kill off at least one of them. And that one is Songbird. And you see what I mean as we go through this book. And so getting into today's video, we actually do pick up with Songbird right now with Swordsman. Now remember, this is Andreas Strucker, the second Swordsman. The original one died years ago. But anyways though, the second Swordsman, Andreas Strucker, is only on the team for two reasons. Well, technically now one. Because originally he was on the team for two reasons. One, he was basically on a contract that kind of forced him to be on this team. And secondly, Norman Osborn did promise Swordsman that he'll make a clone of Swordsman's twin sister, Andrea Strucker. Now, of course, later on, a clone was made, but not made by Norman Osborn. That clone was made by Armin Zola. Now, that clone quickly died as soon as she reappeared or appeared in the run of Thunderbolts. And so with her death, Swordsman is technically only on the team because his contract that was given to him by the American government is forcing him to stay on this team. But right now, Swordsman wants to kill off Norman Osborn, but at the same time, he can't because remember, Norman Osborn is in charge of the Thunderbolts program. And these guys are mostly criminals. And so to make sure they fall in line, Norman Osborn did put nanobites in all of their bodies as a way to control them. And so if they try to hurt Norman Osborn, well, of course, Norman Osborn can just easily kill them. Now, you do have Songbird right now with Swordsman because right now you have Swordsman kind of having a funeral service for his twin sister. Because again, like I said earlier, a clone was made of his twin sister, but that clone was quickly killed off by Bullseye in the Secret Invasion tie-in that we covered. And so, of course, you had Norman Osborn and some members of the Thunderbolts lie to Swordsman and say that his twin sister was killed off by a Skrull, but in reality, she was killed off by Bullseye. Now, of course, this is him telling Songbird that she needs to watch her back. And the reason why, because Norman Osborn, like I said earlier, showed the world that he was the one who killed off the Queen Skrull. And of course, saved the world from the invasion of the Skrull race. And so when Norman Osborn did that, of course, everyone began to love him. And so this is Swordsman saying that right now, the world is loving Norman Osborn. Not us, Him, because he's the one who fired the bullet to kill off the queen. And with him doing that, the world is loving him right now. And of course, the president is going to promote him. And when that happens, he's going to try to get rid of us and make room for something better that he actually likes. Because these characters that he has on his team right now, they were forced on his team. And so now it's sort of been saying, with Norman Osborn having more power, he'll have the ability to bring in characters that he actually wants. Now, we actually do jump over to Norman Osborn, and we actually do pick up in Washington, D.C., where, of course, right now you have Norman Osborn talking to the committee that watches over superhero activities. And the reason why we have this committee, if you're wondering, is because right after Civil War, you had a law being made. Not right after Civil War, really right in the middle of Civil War. But basically, you had a law that was made saying that if you are a superhero and you have not registered or even worked for the government, you are breaking the law, and that means you are going to be put in jail. So like if you are a superhero being or just a being with powers and you're out in the streets and the government has no idea about your powers, you were breaking the law and you would technically be arrested and thrown in jail. Now, the Thunderbolts were originally a team made to go after people who were being superheroes, but of course breaking the law. And so you had the Thunderbolts go after those characters to capture them and lock them up. Now, that's why we have a committee to watch over the superhero activity. Now, the reason why Norman Osborn is here to talk to the committee is because it's Norman Osborn telling the committee, hey, listen, you guys failed. Now, really, he's here because they're kind of reviewing everything he did in the last few months as being the leader of the Thunderbolts, but also because what he did back in Secret Invasion. But at the same time, though, it's Norman Osborn telling the committee they suck. He's going to blame them. He blames Iron Man. He blames S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, the reason why he blames Iron Man and S.H.I.E.L.D. is because at this point in Marvel Comics, Iron Man was the leader of S.H.I.E.L.D. He was running it. But the reason why Norman Osborn is blaming S.H.I.E.L.D., Iron Man, in this committee is because he feels like if these three characters were using his tech, the whole invasion by the Skrulls would have never happened. But because they used Tony Stark's tech and S.H.I.E.L.D.'s tech, of course, the invasion happened and a lot of bad people were, not bad people, a lot of good people were taken over or kidnapped or killed off. And so with that, you kind of have Norman Osborn saying, if I was in charge, if we had my tech, that invasion would have never happened. But of course, it did happen. It's your guys' fault. And look what happened. But don't worry, I actually have a meeting with the president, and when I meet with him, everything is about to change. Now, we actually do jump over to Thunderbolts Mountain, the base of the Thunderbolts, where we actually do pick up with Moonstone right now beginning the plan of Norman Osborn. And what I mean by beginning the plan is more of Norman Osborn getting rid of characters that he no longer wants at all. Because when Norman Osborn was put in charge of the Thunderbolts, he was giving these characters that was on his team. He did not actually pick them. And so now it's him saying, okay, I am now going to remove some of the characters I do not like, but keep the ones I do like. Now, of course, right now, you have Moonstone going after Penance. Now, remember, Penance was part of a team that I keep forgetting the team name, but basically, they were the reason why Civil War happened, because they were going after a character known as Nitro, and when Nitro blew up, Nitro killed 600 people, including 60 children. And so with that, of course, the public hated superheroes because 600 people died. On top of the idea that a lot of people lost their homes, their jobs, and so the public began to hate superheroes. Now, Penance, who was on that team that basically led to Nitro exploding, well, Penance began to hate himself so much that he made a suit that has nails that dig into his body anytime he wears his suit. and each nail is a way to represent someone who had died thanks to Nitro blowing up. So really 600 nails. No, sorry, scratch that. It's not 600 nails, it's 60 nails. And each nail represents a children that had died thanks to Nitro blowing up. But either way, though, you have Moonstone going after Penance, because over time, Penance was getting better because he was meeting up with Doc Samson, of course, a therapist that was helping Penance work through his problems. Now, Moonstone is trying to remove him or get him locked up. And the reason why she's doing that is because in an earlier video, Penance actually knocked out Moonstone, and I mean literally knocked her out. And the reason why he did that is because Moonstone was attacking Doc Samson while Doc Samson was trying to give Robbie here some therapy session. And so this is really Moonstone kind of helping Norman Osborn, but also getting revenge because she got punched by Penance. And so while she's talking to Penance, acting like a therapist like Doc Samson, even though she is a therapist, she's a bad one, you actually have her put something in his drink to knock him out. And her game plan is to make it seem like he went crazy again to keep him locked up and locked away forever. And this is her just getting revenge against Penance for what he did to her in an earlier book, because she was being controlled and attacking Doc Samson. And we come to find out that basically Venom is also part of the team that is trying to clear house. And the reason why I'm saying that is because right after Moonstone was able to get rid of Robbie, aka Penance, she does go over to Venom and tell Venom, okay, it's time for you to go after Songbird. You need to kill her because Norman Osborn wants her gone. And Venom is down because remember, at this point in Marvel Comics, Venom was crazy. Venom wants to go around and eat people left and right for some unknown crazy reason. And so really you have him kind of like, ooh, I get to eat Songbird? Okay, I'm down, let's go. Now we actually do jump over to Songbird. Now right now you have Songbird technically right now packing things up and looking at old photos of the original Thunderbolts team. Now Songbird really doesn't have an idea that right now Norman Osborn is clearing house, even though Swordsman did warn her like, hey, you need to watch your back. She's technically not really watching her back. But either way though, right now that is the moment where she is confronted by the Radioactive Man. Now the Radioactive Man is actually a character who was on the team with Songbird on the last Thunderbolts series we covered before Norman Osborn's Thunderbolts. But either way though, you actually had Songbird go to Radioactive Man for comfort, because back in the storyline we covered called Thunderbolts Breaking Point, where we were introduced to the mother of Songbird at the same time we watched that mother died, Songbird went to the Radioactive Man for comfort. Now, of course, the Radioactive Man did not want to comfort her for two reasons. One, because he's radioactive, but two, he felt like it would be a bad thing for him to actually comfort her because she actually likes him and he likes her. But of course, these emotions were coming out at a bad time. But the reason why he's here right now in the present day talking to Songbird is because he's telling Songbird that he was recalled to China. Because remember, the only reason why he was on the team of the Thunderbolts was because China gave him over to the American government as kind of like a peace treaty thing, but to keep him away from China, because they're afraid that he would not be able to control his radioactive powers, and so they kept him over at America. But he's here to tell Songbird that he was recalled, and so he's leaving. Now, when you have the two characters actually go over to the jet that is going to take the Radioactive Man home, you would think that Songbird would try to actually show that she's going to miss the Radioactive Man, because He's leaving. He's going to China. He's not coming back. She may never see him again, but of course, she's kind of like acting different where she doesn't care. And she keeps telling him, just go away and leave. And you would think that maybe she's still mad at the radioactive man from the Breaking Point storyline where she went to him for comfort, but that is not true at all. Because right after the radioactive man actually leaves to go back to China, now the reason why you had her kind of rushing the radioactive man off so quickly to get on the jet and go home, because Bullseye was actually right behind her the entire time, and the radioactive man couldn't see him because he was hiding in the shadows. But with him technically right there, she had no choice to make the radioactive man leave to save his life, because Bullseye is holding a blade to her back, to her spine. And so right now is Bullseye saying, good, he's gone. And now I can technically begin the process of actually torturing you. And of course, Songbird knows that Norman Osborn told Bullseye to kill her. Because again, like I said, when it came to Norman Osborn, he's clearing house of characters that he does not want on his new teams. But on top of that, he wants to get rid of Songbird, especially because he hates Songbird a lot. And so this is him trying to get rid of Songbird by using Bullseye. Now, of course, when we jump into the second chapter of this storyline, we actually do pick up with Bullseye still holding that knife in the back of Songbird's back. Now, of course, you do have Songbird remind us that when it comes to her powers, she's able to make constructs with her voice and do a lot of different things with her voice as well. And so with that, she was able to scream, but to also make a construct of wings as a way to push Bullseye away from her. Now, of course, this actually does lead into a fight between the two characters, but of course, Songbird knows that she cannot take Bullseye on because Bullseye is a well-trained killer for one, but two, because Bullseye could easily kill her. Songbird is no way able to go toe-to-toe with Bullseye, and so you have her being able to escape through some service ducts as a way to get away from Bullseye, and Bullseye is very upset, and he does call up Moonstone to tell her that he basically lost Songbird, somebody who he did have right in his grasp, but of course he lost Songbird. Now, of course, you do have Moonstone actually call Bullseye back for a couple of reasons. One, because the duct system is a maze. And with it being a maze, of course, Songbird could easily lose Bullseye and try to escape the mountain, even though the mountain is on lockdown right now. But for Bullseye, the reason why he cannot go down there is because there's no cameras, and they have to watch Bullseye 24/7. This dude is a wild card. He's crazy. He loves killing. And so he could easily just kill Songbird and come right back and try to kill Moonstone and also try to kill Venom, or possibly go after Norman Osborn as well. And so you have Moonstone send in Venom instead to go after Songbird, because Venom is able to easily track her and to hopefully locate her to basically kill her. Now, of course, you do have Moonstone try to trick Songbird by basically telling Songbird, hey, listen, don't worry. We were able to capture Bullseye. He's being contained. You may come out. Now, Songbird knows that Moonstone is lying, because Moonstone, throughout the entire series, has been trying to kill off Songbird or just get rid of her any way possible. And so Songbird knows that Moonstone is lying. Now, Bullseye does meet up with Moonstone to kind of think of a game plan. But of course, you didn't have Bullseye remind us, the readers, but also Moonstone, why not use your nanobites as a way to kill her? Did I really say nanobites? But nanobots, sorry. The nanobots that were put inside each member of the Thunderbolts as a way to control them. Because remember, these nanobots are technically used by Norman Osborn as a way to keep the team in line, because if they try to kill Norman Osborn or do anything else against their orders, those nanobots will go off that can basically shut someone down or technically hurt them really bad to the point they feel like their body shut down, but technically they're just paralyzed for a brief moment. But either way, though, you didn't have Moonstone tell Bullseye that those bots are no longer online. Because when the Skrull Captain Marvel appeared back in our last video and he wreaked havoc in the base of the Thunderbolts, he destroyed that program that was basically controlling the nanobots in each member's body. And so for Bullseye, he's kind of like, wait a second, you're telling me there's technically nothing holding me back, meaning that I can go ahead and kill you, leave this place, kill Norman Osborn, and be on my way. But then you have Moonstone tell Bullseye, you don't want to leave, because if you do leave, you're going to miss something very special. Now, of course, we have no idea what she is talking about. All we know is that she does whisper something in his ears that he really likes, and he's down to continue to help Moonstone hunt down Songbird. Now, of course, you didn't have Moonstone realize that Songbird would go after her second harness to kind of help her fly out of this place. But of course, that is the moment you have Moonstone realize, where is the second harness? It's on the Zeus. And the Zeus is basically a jet that the Thunderbolts use as a way to get around to different places around the country, especially their missions. But either way, though, you do have Songbird using the Zeus as a way to fight against Bullseye and Moonstone, but to also blow up the mountain so that she'll be able to escape, because the mountain is locked down. And so, of course, with it being locked down, she just can't easily escape. And so right now, she's trying to use the Zeus missiles to take out Bullseye, take out Moonstone, but to also blow a hole in the roof to get out of this place. And so it does lead into a few pages where you have both Venom and Bullseye also attacking the ship, but at the same time, you also have Songbird trying to use a Zeus to blow off the roof of the mountain, which she was able to do so that she can fly the jet out of the place. But of course, with Venom and Bullseye attacking the jet and basically ripping parts off left and right, the jet does begin the process of falling down and it crash lands. And so of course, we're kind of left to believe that possibly Songbird could be dead, or the idea that all three characters, Venom, Songbird, and Bullseye, are badly injured. Now, right after the jet crashes, of course, we're going to find out Venom was knocked out cold. He's still alive, but he's knocked out cold. And you do have Songbird being able to crawl out of the jet. But right after she crawls out of the jet, that is the moment where she's confronted again by Bullseye. Bullseye comes right behind her and he's holding a blade to her back, where it seems like maybe Bullseye is actually about to kill off Songbird, because Songbird is badly injured. There's technically no one left to help her. Venom is out cold. The radioactive man is back in China. So now it's just Bullseye and Songbird in the middle of the forest, with Bullseye holding that knife in the back of Songbird's back. But then we forget about one character we have not seen since the beginning of this video, and that character is Swordsman. Because remember, Swordsman was with Songbird at the very beginning of this video outside the mountain, giving his clone sister a funeral. And so right now, he comes right behind Bullseye and he knocks out Bullseye with a blast. And you have Swordsman tell us that technically he was part of the plan as well too. He was supposed to help out Moonstone, help out Venom, and Bullseye kill off Songbird. But for Swordsman, he's kind of like, I did not want to kill you off. And honestly, I don't care for this team. So I'm going to tell this team that you were vaporized when the ship crashed. So you can basically easily leave and go hide somewhere to stay alive. Because if they find out that I let you leave, they'll kill me, but still come after you. So if I lie just good enough to make them believe that your body was burned in that crashed jet, then they'll possibly leave you alone and leave me alone as well. And so you have Songbird just leave, because Moonstone is still inside the mountain right now, the base of the Thunderbolts. Bullseye and Venom are knocked out. The only person who knows that technically Songbird is alive is Swordsman. And he's saying, go away before they wake back up, causing more problems for you and me both. And that is where technically the book ends. Like, it really ends on that note right there, because after this, that is the moment you have Norman Osborn form a new team of Thunderbolts, because the characters that we saw that were kind of trying to kill Songbird, Venom, Moonstone, and Bullseye, they go on to join the Dark Avengers as Captain Marvel, Spider-Man, and Hawkeye. Now, of course, we know how Dark Avengers goes, but if not, go watch those videos as well. But either way, though, this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, I'll see y'all next time. Later.